And then finding those opportunities to do. You got the slow and steady growth that is your solid stable base, but then occasionally you'll get those big spikes, moonshots or god candles, whatever you want to call them, that really give you that shot in the arm. And then with the discipline that I learned, which is my third favorite thing, is understanding the disciplines required to do this. With that discipline, take those profits and put them somewhere safe so that I don't lose them doing, getting the adrenaline going and going, ooh, this made it, so it's going to make it again. And then all of a sudden your wins are gone. So those are, I think, my three favorite things: the nerd stuff, the family stuff, and then the financial stuff.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of go into the family part because, like yourself, we're both proud fathers. We both have multiple children. We both have had careers we've balanced while doing this. There's probably, some multiple people, men and women who are out there who are kind of in the same situation. They're trying to figure out what's the best way to balance this. So, I mean, I have my methods, but I wanted to ask you, what's been the balance like for you in terms of being able to manage your, not, I guess maybe your research, but also just your overall investment philosophy with having a career, with also having a family?
So one of the things that we did early on, thing one, is I talked about all of this to my wife, who is not as technical as I am, but I mean, we've been married and we communicate like crazy. And so I've said for years that she could probably pass an interview at an IT department, just from all of the jargon that she's picked up from living with me for 20 plus years. And I said, okay, look, this really has some potential. And, she made me be able to explain it in a way that was understandable. And so it's not just holding Bitcoin. It's not just, Bitcoin or Ethereum, or explaining what Ethereum was. And then really funny, the turning point for that was there was a game that we were playing, an iPhone game that we were playing years ago, that when Ethereum started getting above the thousands, she said, wait a minute, I'm seeing this game use some of these concepts in there. It was a freemium game. So when you go to the paid platform, she's like, wait, this is what you've been talking about, isn't it? So, yeah. And so starting to see some of those concepts percolating into a silly part of our life, but even just there. So for me, the balance, to get back to your question, once she bought into the concept, it was, okay, let's get slow. We're going to start slow. We're going to go, obviously everything is risk, but we're going to find the surest thing we can find and the most repeatable thing that we can find. And now, so it was at that point in time, I had just gotten in contact with this group, and there were some trainings that were available, but there was this Friday call that was new stuff every Friday. And I can go back. I still have all the notebooks that I took notes on. And I read these things, and it's like, okay, every time an acronym gets thrown out, my dad was in the military, so acronyms are just part of my daily life. But there's an acronym I didn't know. There's a word that I didn't know. Those early notebooks are filled with stars and circles and highlights of, okay, look this up. What does this mean? What in the world are they talking about? But so at the beginning, it was probably 2, 3, 4 hours a week of listening on that one call, and then going and finding what all those words meant. And then once that built up some inertia, some momentum, now it's, the time on the calls plus maybe another couple of hours a week that I spend, that I actually, takes up my time doing these things. So it has been fairly easy for me to find that balance because, I have that time alone with my computer anyway because of what I do. So, and it really does get to the point where you can do this in just a couple of hours a week.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head. Earlier, you mentioned the word discipline. I think discipline is probably, I want to say 80% of the puzzle, right? Because so much of this is just mental. We talk a lot about there's a lot of noise out there, and being able to separate the signal from the noise, especially using communities like ours, is so huge. I love that you take copious notes, because all I could think of when you were talking about that is it's amazing how much easier this process is for anybody who's coming into this now. right? Because
Oh yeah.
you think about this now, it's like you have literal notes where you're taking down acronyms and stuff like that. I mean, you could have a Perplexity or a GPT or a Venice window open right now, live transcribing what you're saying, and you just speak to it, and it'll actually, do all of that for you. So